I don't know about you, but I did struggle a little bit with this list. Um, God, two of my three, well, my three honorable mentions are going to make you mad that they're not on the list. I can already tell. I already know this.
I've got like I think three or four honorable mentions. Like I just like you're saying, man, it was harder than I thought it was going to be, and like the Final Guys was still a little bit harder. Um, uh, but yeah, Final Girls, man, there's just a really good selection.
Yeah.
But so let's go ahead. Sorry, my stuff's all jacked up today.
Oh, good, man. It's been a week. It has been a week. Although, with the monkeypox outbreak, I figured that is a great time to revisit the Cabin Fever franchise, which is what I've been doing in my spare time, which hasn't been a whole lot. I'm about three-quarters of the way done through the first one, and then I'll work on the second one and try and hunt down Patient Zero, which is really weirdly difficult to get a hold of streaming right now. And then I will skip the reboot because it sucked.
So okay, yeah, I was just about to ask if that was a reboot or if it was the third one. Yeah,
No,
I enjoyed the first movie. It wasn't what I expected, and like it was a little lackluster for me. But I liked the actors and I liked the characters. It just the tone is a little weird.
I think that's the thing. So it came out in 2003, right? So the movies coming out around it are like House of a Thousand Corpses, Mary, Saw. Like they're movies that all kind of have that same cinematography style, but they all have something very unique to them, almost a comedic aspect. Some of them darker than others. And the Cabin Fever seems to have the most odd comedic approach, where it's like at moments it is funny, but at other moments it's just like, why is that here? I don't get it. The second one broadens the humor even further. The reboot tries to go straight dark. Are you ever going to watch the reboot? Or
If I find it or see it, yeah, I'll probably watch it. I mean, is it worth watching?
no? Can I spoil one thing for you? Which, I mean, it's really not worth your time. This is the only part that kind of is, but it's just one kill. You're okay with me going ahead? I can do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you know in the original where he goes to the shed and he sees the dog is eating her face. So he kills her with the shovel because he's out of bullets. Dude, in the remake, they have the same scene and he's out of bullets and he like hits her. He goes to like cut her head off but misses and it separates her jaw and she's still breathing and fighting. And he drops the shovel and then starts beating her with a pole to death. And it's like the most cruel mercy killing ever. 2 scenes later, he's shooting the gun.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, what? The what? The what? Like, that is the crudest mercy killing I have ever seen. Ever. It's bad. It's rough. So, yeah, with monkeypox spreading, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch a movie about a pandemic. You know what? I'm going to watch a whole franchise about a pandemic. Why not?
Yeah, I actually kind of went into it blind. Like I knew nothing about it. So, like I said, I enjoyed it. I really like that the guy with the backwards cap that's from Detroit Rock City. I haven't seen him in a whole lot of stuff.
So while I started watching it, I started looking up some information about what he's been doing. And honestly, outside of that era of movies and comedies and B-rated comedies, he didn't do much. And now he does like con circuits every once in a while and charges like $20 an autograph.
I guess that's not too bad, but really, dude, like I don't know if he's memorable enough to wait in line for.
He goes apparently to a few places that Edward Norton goes, and they do panels together about Detroit Rock City, which kind of makes sense.
I can see that.
that movie was kind of a staple for 80s and 90s kids. So, it
Yeah.
fits. It fits. God, I love that. That is a great movie.
I just rewatched it not too long ago. Yeah, like probably about 3 weeks ago. I watched it because I bought it like 8 months ago, and it's just been sitting there, pulled out just a little bit, and I was like, all right, I need a comedy now because I watched like High Tension and a couple others, but that was after. But anyway, I've been watching a lot of new horror, but I was like, I need a good comedy, and that's a good go-to. But all right, man, why don't you go ahead and go through your honorable mentions? How many honorables do you have?
3.
All right, I've got 4, 5.
Fair. My first honorable mention is going to get to John's core. And it's simply because I'm not as big of a fan of the franchise, but I do think they're great movies. And that is Ripley, Alien. Like, I have fun with the first Alien. The second one's amazing. I don't get into it as much. But as far as a final girl goes, that's a staple. Absolute staple. She deserves to be on people's lists, or at least an honorable mention. I couldn't not bring her name up.
I can't believe she didn't even make the list. Now I'm really scared. Like, I don't like it when you start out like this, because I know you're just going to burn the bridges. Like, you're just going to burn it down. I feel like you do it on purpose. You're like, I could put her in there, but this would piss him off, so I'll just leave it off.
No, this is just personal. This is my personal list. This is the films I enjoy, how I enjoy them. My second one is going to piss John off even more, and that's Sydney from Scream.
Dude, your list is going to be hellacious. Like, oh my God.
I love the first Scream movie. Past there, John and I have talked, like, there's fun with 2 and 3 and a little bit of fun with 4. 5 is trash. But I'm not that big into Scream. I love the first movie. I will watch it at any point. But outside of that, I never get the urge to go, ooh, I want to watch Scream 3. Or, ooh, I want to watch Scream 2 or 4. It just doesn't happen. So, yes, she is the staple of the franchise. So, of course, she deserves to be on either a list or an honorable mention. Personally, I don't hold Scream that high. It's just how it is.
I kind of wish I wouldn't have you do honorable mentions just so that way they're just not even mentioned. Like, just so that way it's even more kind of WTF.
My third one was in the list and got kicked out from my number 10.
Okay.
And that is Erin from Texas Chainsaw 2003.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job. And in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, I feel that her story is kind of the strongest as far as a final girl in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise goes. Like, it's almost synonymous with the franchise now, is to think of her character in that movie. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I had to have some Texas Chainsaw Massacre in there somewhere. And she got booted out for my number 10, which we'll get there. So, now that John is fully offended.
God, dude, that's insane that those two didn't make it, but whatever. So 2 out of the 5 that I have are from the 2003, 2006 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is the Jessica Alba and Brewster, Jordana Brewster from the prequel. Jordana Brewster might actually be a better final gal. The beginning of the movie talks about the brothers going off to war. So she's not a fighter or a hero or whatever, and then she rises to, like, in the middle of the movie or whatever it is, where she hears her friend cry out. She has to make a decision to run back or not. They're 2 really good final girls that they don't have really they don't really necessarily stand out, but they're really good.
Yeah.
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 The next one, this is kind of, we're just doing movies. We're not doing a TV series. Kind of like last week, Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead would have been one of my final guys, but he didn't make it because it's not a movie. This one is a movie, but had a bigger franchise, and that's Buffy. Buffy is a phenomenal final gal. What she has to go through, but even in the movie, even in the original movie, I like her as a final gal, but it's kind of cheating because she has superpowers. She doesn't just to overcome her fear and her wants and her own satisfactions for life to do this one thing she was chosen for, her destiny. But I love Buffy. She's got to be on there. She's a great final girl. Had to be an honorable mention.
Oh my God.
Another honorable mention, and this hurts. I really wanted this to go on there, but other ones just had more to do, more to chew on, had more to overcome, whatever it is. But it's Trish from Jeepers Creepers. Phenomenal final gal. She didn't have a whole lot to chew on, but her pleading in the movie, the car scene where she's forward, back, reverse. I'm being very vague because I don't want to spoil a lot of these, but she's a very good final gal.
Sir, we are welcome, first of all. Second of all, we are talking about our top 10 final girls in horror. However, we are starting with our honorable mentions. I already burned it down and offended John to the core. John is playing it safe and going with a list that everybody else would agree with him on. So, that's how we're playing this.
Caleb put as an honorable mention Ripley from Alien and Alien, the franchise, and Sydney from Scream franchise. So, like, burning it down. So my next honorable mention would be Tree from the Happy Death Day franchise. I really liked that character. The reason she didn't quite make the list is because, everybody knows it's kind of Groundhog Day. It's a horror movie. Yeah. She gets time to build as a character because she's reliving the same day. So I like her as a character. She is a good final gal. She just didn't make the list. The next one is Sarah from The Descent. Great movie. Great final gal. She has trauma in her background that she has to overcome. She rises above it. She has to take care of business. Great final gal. Great movie. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. And I believe that is it. I believe in a thing called love. Yeah, I think that's it for my. Yeah. I know. It's a tough list.
Top 10. Top 10. So, my list is unique in places, and in others it's stereotypical. I think John and I are going to have the same top one or two.
We're not.
We'll see.
Bet we don't. You're going to burn it down. Burn it down. What? Julie James as a good final girl. She's okay, but really in the first movie, she's a final girl by default. In the second movie, I think she's a stronger final girl. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. It's really high up on one of my favorite horror franchises, at least the first two movies. But she didn't even make my honorable mention just because she's not as strong as the rest of the gals I just named off. But I do love the movie, and I do like the character. I think her Sarah Jessica Parker? No, God, what am I talking about? Sarah Michelle Gellar, who played Buffy in the series. Yeah, she was a great character in the movie. She just didn't end up being a final gal. Spoiler. But anyway, Caleb, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is Harper from Haunt. Dude.
Yeah.
Dude. That... Yeah. They give like this much throughout the movie, and then the last quarter of the movie they go full on into her backstory, and it's like, wait, what? How? I mean, granted, if you're not a big horror person, you might be like, this is out of nowhere, it doesn't make sense, I don't like this. But for me, it was like, oh, so we're on equal playing ground now, is what you're saying. Like that's what we're getting at. And man, she tears them up in that final scene. I was actually sitting here. I had Aaron from TCM03 and my number 10, and I'm sitting here waiting to get logged on, and I look and I see Haunt, and I was like, man, she deserves a spot on that list. That was brutal.
My Lord.
Yeah, so
they linger on the damage and stuff like that. They linger just right. Like some movies go too far, make you feel nasty, and like it's not enjoyable. And I know that sounds dumb, but you most of the time you want to either be really scared, really freaked out, or like you want to enjoy a horror movie. They linger on it perfectly in that movie. Just enough nasty, just enough scary. Love that. Good call.
Sticking hand through the wall scene. God.
Dude, sticking to the floor scene. Sticking to the floor. Oh.
Dude, that's such a good movie.
my number, I like my number 10 better than my number 9. But number 9, I had to put a little respect on it. And that a little respect, anyway, we'll get there. But my number 10 is Aaron from You're Next.
Okay.
Great final gal. It has fun with the material that it's going on. She is interesting from start to finish. There's some twists and turns. There's just a lot of fun with the character. I just think it came out of nowhere. I kind of had a little preconception going into the movie because people talk a little bit, and that's fine. But Erin is a fantastic final girl. In You're Next, yeah. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch You're Next.
It's been a minute since I've seen that. I need to revisit it. I remember the first time I saw... So, the first time I saw it is about the first time that I actually sat through the collection, whatever, the second one. Collection? Yeah. And I was just like, man, this is a little over the top. This is a little bit nutty. And then I went back and watched them like 6 months later and had a whole lot of fun with them. I need to revisit You're Next because I remember the last time I watched it was like, man, that's fun. I need to get a copy. So, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good. We both picked some random, not as commonly talked about, unique final girls.
Yeah, and then Samara Weaving, right, from Ready or Not. She didn't make my list. Very similar kind of vibes. I didn't get the entertainment humor that people got. I don't know, for whatever reason, like, it just didn't click very well because the movie didn't quite lean into it hard enough, I think. I don't know. I need to give Ready or Not, I own it. I need to give it another chance. I like the movie, but I didn't get the freak out everybody else did.
I still haven't seen it. I was actually going to watch it, and then I decided to watch The Hunt instead because, you know, it got restricted, and then it got released, and I was like, cool, I'm going to watch that instead. So,
entertaining.
Yeah, it wasn't
The Hunt was entertaining.
Yeah.
Not something I really need to go back and rewatch, but it was entertaining.
Now, I mean, those fight scenes at the end were brutal. Like, man.
Yeah, they were.
I was like, good Lord, these are just ruthless. So, we're to number 9. My number 9 is one of his honorable...
Well, sorry, I just want to mention that to me, and I said this in our final guys, final girls can die if, like, there is, like, if the bad guy wins, then probably not a great final girl. But if if the final girl can die, I just want to say that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Sorry.
No, you're good. My number 9 is one of his honorable mentions, and that is Sarah from The Descent. I mean, dude, her story, it's well done. This is what sucks. The second movie, although not a terrible sequel, it just undid some of that the first movie did. So while I can enjoy the sequel, she is overlooked, I think, in Final Girl territory, just because everything she goes through in one movie, let alone the second, and the ending of the second, but it just, good, she takes a full flip around, the family angle, the friend angle, dude, there's so much there that I don't want to spoil it because I know that's one of the movies that if you go into it blind, you're going to have a way better time. Just absolutely trust me on that. So I'm not going to throw out all the details. It is worth it. Watch her story. When you're done with that, take a break, realize the second movie is not going to be as great, then watch the second one.
Yeah, it's a movie that never needed a sequel. It is, this is something back in like 2012 or whatever it came out. 2008, whatever it was that it came out. It's kind of special. All female cast, female director, very cool story. And I haven't met anybody that watched it that didn't like it. It is intense. But
Absolutely.
everybody watches it, love it. So yeah, Aaron's solid, super solid. Now my number 9, I want to say that this should probably be higher. I completely understand. You're right. I'm wrong in this situation. This is where I couldn't quite get my heart out of it. I guess like I get it. I put the respect on it, but it's got to go somewhere. I put her enough in here. I actually like some of the better my honorable mentions more than her, but she had to get on the list. I'm sorry, I'm going to delay no longer. That is Kirsty from Hellraiser franchise. Great final gal. I just cannot connect. I like the first movie. Second movie's okay. I just can't connect with the entire franchise. I think it's mishandled. I think it has way more potential than it ever got to. I think she's a decent actress, better than most of these, and the character's solid, super great, goes toe to toe, very smart. Yeah, a capable survivor. Great. Probably
Yeah.
should be higher. She just can't go higher on my list. I feel bad, but I do respect it. She just can't go higher.
And as a fan of the Hellraiser franchise and also understanding its massive faults, I can totally respect it being that far back on the list. Like it makes sense. Like, yeah, she deserves the list, but if you're not that into the franchise, it's not going to be like a top pick. And I get that. Man, my next one. God, this is number 8 already. This one is funny because if you look at the franchise as a whole, there's not a lot of great ones to pick from. So I went Jenny Friday the 13th Part 2.
Nice.
She is the best, in my opinion, of the final girls in the Friday the 13th franchise. That's that, and I mean, we've talked about how we both feel about Friday the 13th Part 2. It's a wonkier film in the franchise, but I think she's the strongest final girl in the franchise in its entirety.
I like part 2 more than you do. Like I would put part 2 over part. I don't know. I need to watch them back to back, but I would kind of put part 2 over part 3.
Yeah.
Not that I dislike part 3. I'm just saying I really do like part 2. It has a better feel to part 1. It flows very well, and 3 is jarring, the tone shift. I like it. I'm not trying to talk crap. I just say I really like 2, and I really like the characters in 2. I like the characters in 3 too, though. But anyway,
2 is kind of I've said this for forever, and a lot of other people say it too, but excuse me, 2 is kind of a copy and paste of 1. You just change who the killer is, and you, spoilers from 1980, whatever, you kill off the person who survived. You pull a Nightmare 4 and 5. You just, so it just, I enjoy Friday the 13th Part 2. I absolutely love how much of the woods you get. I absolutely love that this cast of counselors is probably the best cast of counselors throughout the franchise. It's just true. And she was the strongest final girl, in my opinion. And what's weird is, personally, if she wasn't there, I would probably give it to what's her name in Freddy vs. Jason. And that kind of sucks to say, because she's not great.
Lori. Yeah. Yeah, Aaron from your next, Jabari says, heck yeah, man, solid final girl. I mean, like write it down on a piece of paper. Great, solid final gal. So Caleb and I, we always have one that matches, and we were so close here, so close. My number 8 is Chris from Friday the 13th Part 3. I think she's the best girl in the Friday the 13th franchise. She has trauma from the beginning that she's struggling with throughout the beginning of the movie. And then the last 15% of the movie or whatever, when it goes down, she's caught off guard. She's not prepared, but yet she is a survivor. She is creative with the things around her. She never gives up. I just think she is so great. it's just scene to scene. She's in it. She's giving it all. She's not giving up. I just really like Chris from
Yeah.
part 3.
No, that's
I
it.
think the reason I give her over Jenny is Jenny was more prepared. Jenny also had Paul that helped kind of save her bacon. And then while he's just, or while they're wrestling around, she's like, Paul,
Paul,
sit there. Like, dude, like dive in there, do something, bite him, like kick him, do something. I don't know.
I don't know. I still think that like Jenny's end scene where she puts the sweater on and goes for the whole thing, that's like one of the biggest staple scenes to me in Friday the 13th fandom is just like that mirage over her where he can see his mother and say like, I don't know, that's like one of those perfect franchise moments. And I don't know. Yeah. I'm shocked that you didn't have we didn't line up our Friday the 13th picks.
Well, close, same spot.
Yeah. Which brings us to number 7, which makes me wonder if your number 7 is going to be my number 7.
There is no way. You could write down 20 options. You would never get my number 7. My number 7 is the weirdest, wonkiest one. You won't ever get it. You could never in 1,000 years get it. Ever.
That's how my number 3 is. I don't think anybody will get my number 3.
Okay.
My number 7 is Sarah Connor.
Nope, not even close.
Sarah Connor, the first Terminator. I'm not talking 2 and whatever in God's name happened in Genesis or Dark Fate or whatever thing that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, Dark Fate, Genesis, yeah.
The first Terminator, and John talks a lot of positivity about the first Terminator. It's an everything movie.
Love it.
But first and foremost, that is a slasher movie. It just happens to have a sci-fi twist. So I will always notate the first Terminator as a horror experience. And Sarah Connor's growth and development in that first film is really good. It's really well done. And I can see the hypocrisy in my statement here and putting Ripley in my honorable mentions. But again, this is a franchise I connect with more than the Alien franchise. If I had more of a connection to Alien, Ripley would probably be in my top 3. She's given a lot better development than Sarah Connor throughout her films.
Yeah. So my number 7, and this is something, like I said, nobody would ever guess this. You could say she's a final girl. She just is. But that is Lorraine Warren from the Conjuring franchise. Now, why I think she's a great final gal is because she's in the finale. She is searching out, helping people. I buy the romance between her and her husband, and that adds to the stakes. She has a child. Like, I can really feel her connection to the evil. I can feel her connection to God. I can feel the love between her and her family, and then the pain and suffering that she goes through. I think she is phenomenal. Love Lorraine.
I wouldn't have even thought to pick her at all. That's solid.
Yeah.
Solid. Ooh. This character, number 6. We're at number 6. This character goes through probably more in a 24-hour period than most of those on this list. And that's Alexia from High Tension.
Oh, God.
Her family.
The one I just watched?
Yeah. Her family, her best friend happens to be what? Like, dude, and she's, oh my God. Like, there's I'm not going to spoil it either, because that's another movie that if you haven't seen, I think it's better to just sit through it and then go, what the hell just happened, than it is to hear about it from some doofus on the internet. What she goes through in that movie, I think she's very deserving of a top 10 final girl list. It's it's absolutely crazy, especially once you watch it the first time and you go back and watch it again and you see what's the dialogue between her and her friend. It just makes it 1,000 times stranger, more grotesque and horrible. It just like when she's got her in the truck and she's like, "I'll help you, I'll save you." Man.
Yeah, the movie's got a lot of depth to it and a lot of different vibes. And like not trying to like, but it's got a lot of different horror vibes. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's not like a straightforward slasher where it's like this. It's like I got a little bit of all of this. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. If you haven't seen High Tension, definitely go watch it. I really enjoyed it. I watched it 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, 3 weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll let it breathe for a little bit because it's a lot. I'll let it breathe and then I'll go back to it. I am looking forward to the second watch, but yeah, I'm avoiding spoilers too on that. But definitely brutal though. Be prepared for brutal. Anyway, my number 6. This one's got a little bit of love on it. I think it jumped a little higher than it probably should have. But it's a character that goes from. She does a complete 180. She's only interested in herself. Then all of a sudden, at the end, she's willing to sacrifice herself for her family. So that's Kyle from Child's Play 2. It's one of the first slashers I ever saw. Kyle, she starts off in the beginning like, I'm just trying to age out of here. Like they don't actually care. I've been through a lot of families. She doesn't really care about Andy. To all of a sudden, all this crazy nonsense goes down, and she's willing to sacrifice herself for Andy. I think that. The brother and sister dynamic is great. The weirdness of the family and all that other stuff. Like it's one of the best horror sequels of all time. She just happens to be a part of it, and yeah, I think she's a great final gal.
I have to say, I really
comes out of nowhere to be.
If I had to add an honorable mention, it would be her. I was kind of toying with the Child's Play franchise, but it was like, man, honestly, she got one movie, then she got a little here and a little there. But the dynamic between her and Andy is just amazing. And the dynamic with her and Chucky is brilliant. And her character development, especially for the time in a horror movie about a doll, what? It didn't deserve to be that good. It doesn't. It absolutely does not. Yeah, that's a solid pick.
Yeah, De Silva was good in 3. I mean, I wouldn't put Jade on there really, but I would put Fiona Dorff. I think she's really great in Curse of Chucky. I think she's a solid final gal if you wanted to put her on there. I think Kyle's a lot stronger because of the connection, the tone of the movie and the brother sister connection.
Yeah.
It's a solid. I mean, the franchise has solid final girls in it. Anyway.
Speaking of brother-sister connections, number 5 is Jamie Strode.
Yeah?
I said it. Okay. I don't think she should be... Well, it's rough. It's rough because I am a fan of the Cult of Thorn films. I am a huge fan of Halloween 4, really big fan of Halloween 6, mediocre level Halloween 5. That said, her in Halloween 4 is amazing. Like, I can't...
But she's a final girl by default. Like, you had a final guy by default last week, too. Like, I don't remember which one, but she's... I don't know.
And then she went through Halloween 5. Then she went through Halloween 6, kind of. And then, depending on which one you watch. And then, technically, Danielle Harris returns in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, but this isn't counting her because I didn't want to count those. Technically, that one's rough. But no, Jamie Strode is a staple of the Halloween franchise, and as I've talked about many times, Halloween is my favorite horror franchise, so she's going to be on the list.
All right. Well, we once again we hit another number where we're on the same franchise. My number 5 is Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween 2, 1, 2, H2O, Resurrection, Halloween 18, and Kills. Very different parts of the character. Doesn't get a whole lot to do in the first movie. But she is resourceful. She finds things to keep her alive. She keeps moving forward. She keeps an eye on the target and the prize of the kids and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, each movie has a little bit different flavor for her and makes her a good final gal in different ways, aspects, and situations. I can understand if other people beat her from the list. But yeah, I think this is where she had to land. And it's strange because I have one above her that I like less but deserved more credit.
But, you know, yep. I'm going to withhold what I'm going to say about Laurie Strode until we get there. I'm offended. I'm upset. I don't know what to say other than move on to my next choice. Number 4, because I'm disappointed in John. Christy from Hellraiser. Yeah, I as said earlier, I love the Hellraiser franchise, and she's one of the ones that got smart enough to appeal to the entity that she was trying to run away from. She figured out, like, I mean, that it's pretty brilliant that she was like, look, here's what's happening. I'm not actually trying to get a hold of you for this, but you're the only way out. Or she knew to explain that she wasn't the one who called. She understood that what was happening was beyond her understanding, which is just amazing. And if you think about Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, how it starts out just perfectly lining up to the first. That scene, the opening scene where she's sitting in that hospital room and you get the cop or whatever to come in, it feels like you never left the first movie. It's just a straight flow in. I absolutely love that. I will say the Hellraiser franchise, especially in my opinion, the first 2 movies, it's not for everybody and it's not an everyday kind of watch. It's a specific mood kind of watch. Some of the later ones are a little bit more, they were detective movies that they were like, oh, we want to retain the rights to Pinhead, so let's throw Hellraiser in it. So some of those are a little goofy and a little bit more fun that you can kind of turn on in the background and be like, cool, Pinhead, once every 45 minutes. But the first 2 have the best story, and those are her story. Those, absolutely the best. So, Christy, yep. She's smart, she's strong, she understands what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I like I said, she probably should have been higher. I just don't connect with the franchise, and it's hard to love a final gal when you're just like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely I understand where you're at there. So my number 4 I like less than my number 5, which was Laurie Strode, and my number 4 is Nancy from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Jesus.
I've rewatched the first one like a week ago, and I'm telling you, man, she actually pisses me off in that first movie. Nothing against Heather Langenkamp. I know she was a young actress, but it's the kid from The Shining. The TV series has the same problem as she does, where she walks through that entire freaking movie with her mouth open, and it pisses me off. I don't know why, but she mouth breathes throughout the whole movie, and it distracts and pisses me off. The whole movie, she's like this. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why I hyper-focused on it. Her mouth is just always open. Her teeth are always... I don't know why. She's not that way in the third movie. She's not. Like, she has some scenes where, like, her just smile is naturally big. But, like, I don't know why she just couldn't shut her mouth in that movie. She's always, like, on pins and needles. I get it, but even just on random scenes. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sorry. But let's get to the positives. I'm sorry. I don't know why she annoys me so bad. Anyway, in the first movie, how I mean, just think of the danger that she is in, right? Like, you have Kirsty, which is a great final gal, once again, way over her head, like, has no chance to survive and is able to survive and outwit. It's the same thing, right? Like, 1 in a million, and she figures out how to survive, how to fight back, using the resources she has, the friends and everything else, figures out what's happening. Third movie goes to bat, is even braver, never flinches, is willing to do whatever she's got to do to beat Freddy. The rest of the franchise, I won't really get into, but 1 and 3. 3, for me, really solidifies her as a phenomenal final girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I did not mean to just bash on her, but I don't know. I just could not. I just couldn't look away. I was just like, God dang.
I think I know who your top two are.
So that was my number 4. So yeah, I got 3 to go.
Yeah, I think I know who the top 2 are. Wow, we're already at number 3. My number 3 is actually from a movie that I didn't see until I think late last year. I had absolutely zero expectations going into it, the way I do any movie that looks to be B-rated or below, and I'm watching it for the first time on Tubi. I don't expect to have an absolute great time. This movie is called Open 24 Hours, and the character's name is Mary. She is the main character of the film. What she goes through in her past and throughout the movie, struggling with her PTSD, her story is phenomenal. I'm not saying that her acting is necessarily the best or the worst. I'm not saying that the film's got a weird kind of, what's the right word? Kind of a tone where at moments it's too bright and polished, and at others it's a little too dingy and dark. But if you subtract that and you look at the story, you look at what she's going through, it's absolutely, she does a phenomenal job. The movie it's got tension. I was on the edge of my seat watching it for the first time, and I actually just got in a used DVD copy for like $2. Really happy to finally have it in my collection. And I don't want to spoil too much because I don't think John has seen it yet. It's a very unique movie. And it's one of the few movies where if you pay attention to the end, so you actually have to, once you make it through the movie, at the end, you have to pay attention to what's happening on the screen. It changes the ending than if you were to just hear it or listen to it or hear about it from somebody else. Watching it makes you go, I don't understand what just happened. And there's not very many ends to movies that make you feel that way. And that is effective. And I loved it. So she gets number 3, and the movie is really good. So if you get the chance, go check it out. It is worth it. I think it's still on Tubi. You can watch it for free with ads. Yeah.
So Jamari says Aaron from TCM and Rocky and Don't Breathe would be my top 2. I did like Don't Breathe. I have not seen the second one. I know a bit of the synopsis, and I just have to get to it. I did like Don't Breathe. The only thing that did irritate me was like the 80-year-old house that like doesn't creak and then creaks just at the right time. I really did love the movie though. And Aaron was in both of our honorable mentions. Yeah, good final gal. She helped make that movie what it is for sure. Besides Ellen Ripley. Yep.
I wasn't a huge fan of Don't Breathe. I can see the appeal. I was all for it until it took the weird left turn in the basement.
Love it. I love the weird left turn. I think it really makes the movie special.
But then when I read about the second one and what happens with him as a character, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't. It's different when like Jason murders a rapist. That is something he would do. He would pick up a rapist and throw them and kill them. Totally makes sense. He's not a hero. He just happened to see that and killed them and was going to kill the person, the victim, in just a moment. Like that it fits. But turning the dude around entirely, no, you can't, no.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and then you've been told to get out finally.
Well,
Normally I'm the one
Get
that's
Out is a great movie. I love that movie. There's not a final girl. Yeah. Actually, I did. I told John I've been rewatching Candyman 2021. I'm on like my 6th viewing since I finally got my copy. God, I love that movie. God, I love that movie.
I really do too. I really do too. I have my problems with it, but like we talked about earlier, that we kind of, like the problem I had, we actually talked about it enough to where we kind of fixed it. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it works to fill in that gap. So I like it even more now. I do think they still missed a little bit of the flavor of the original, especially connecting to it. I really do love that freaking movie, though. And actually, I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen the new Candyman. Spoilers for just a second, but the Candyman dude that plays Candyman in the new Candyman might actually be scarier than Tony Todd.
Oh,
like, the voice is iconic. I'm just talking about the dude that plays Candyman. I love the look even more, I think, and the intensity is great. I don't know.
Yeah, it can't beat the first one. No, I think the first one is better, but as far as a direct sequel, as far as a requel goes, I think it's the best one. Absolutely.
Sorry, real fast. A final guy I want to throw in there too is Bev from It, the miniseries. Just like this with the slingshot and stuff like that. Love that final gal. Anyway.
Yeah. So we just did. I did number 3.
Yep. So I was thinking of another one too. There's so many good final girls out there, but my number 3, and she is a weaker final gal because of the situation she is in, but the once again the stuff that she's had to overcome in her past, who she becomes in the future. She never backs down, especially as the movies go along. That's Sydney from Scream. Like, look, she's not going up against Freddy, Michael Myers. She's not going up against like Lorraine Warren, right? She's not going like Trish from Jeepers Creepers. But like, just the death she's had to endure, her family, her friends, like all this stuff, and never back. Well, she has some growth throughout each movie, but never gives up. Is strong for everybody around her. Writes the book. Is still able to have love and a family and all that stuff. Like, just to carry that pain and be strong for others is cool. I just love Sydney. She had to be on the list. She's very high. I could definitely see her lowering down. I could definitely see people putting her at number 1. I think the thing that kind of hurts her is her stakes are less than some of the final girls. But what saves her is that she's just a great character. Anyway.
Yeah. And she was one of my honorable mentions. So, yeah, I just burned it down. Yeah.
I know. But I did kind of defend you a little bit because, like I said, like, there's just some final girls that have to overcome more. Like, at the end of the day, like, spoilers, kind of, she's always going up against a human being. Like, never gone up against anything that, like, in the first movie it came out of nowhere. She wasn't prepared. After that, she should be kind of mentally prepped for having to go through it again, kind of, to a degree.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm Sidney Prescott. Of course I have a gun. Like, you know, she gets where it's going. Yeah, no, I mean, what's Alexia from High Tension? Man, that's going through a lot. I mean, whoo,
quickly going through a lot. Yeah.
Man, talk about a rough night. We've made it to our top 2. My top 2 are both stereotypical picks. But I have reasons. My number 2 is Nancy Thompson. That's right. Nightmare on Elm Street. Absolutely. In my top horror films of all time, the first Nightmare on Elm Street is in the top 3. If not 1 or 2. It's a real nightmare. If you think about it from a childhood perspective, you know, you get a hold of this movie when you're young. You happen to stay up late and watch it, whatever. It's not comedic yet. It's not funny. It's terrifying. And the one place that you think you're safe, in your sleep, absolutely no salvation from it. Of course, Dream Warriors, she came back. She came back kick-ass. New Nightmare, bringing her into the real world and using Heather Langenkamp as the character and using Nancy as the fictional, being the first real meta film before we were fully ready for that kind of treatment. It was absolutely amazing, and still to this day is one of my favorite in the Nightmare franchise. Just it's a fun way to do it. Now that said, there's one Nancy Thompson that does not deserve this, and that's the remake. It was horrible.
Terrible.
And John may have problems with Nancy in the first movie, but I top you with a Nancy from the reboot. Yes, we both did mention Sarah from Descent.
Sarah, sorry.
Yeah, Sarah.
Sorry,
she was
I said Aaron for some reason. I looked down.
She was my number 9,
and
she was in John's honorable mentions.
Yeah, solid. I mean, I could definitely hear any arguments for high up the list for the franchise, whatever that she's in. She's such a great final gal, and just it's one of those movies where it's kind of a hidden gem. So I didn't want to spoil too much, because it's she's so good, so good. The whole movie's good. Like I said, it's very special with an all-female cast and a female director in a time where it was a rarity, which is still kind of a rarity. But anyway, great movie, special movie. Gruesome. Be prepared. My number 2. I mean, in my mind, there is only number 1 and number 2, and I'm probably. I'll just say my number 2, and I'll let you go. My number 2 is Sarah Connor. Like Caleb said earlier, you can argue it if you want. My wife would say that the first. A lot of people would say, probably more people would say than not, that the first Terminator is a sci-fi action. It's not horror. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's Michael Myers going after Sarah Connor, like, for the most part. It's an unstoppable force. It's like Jaws, right? Like, you could say it's more of a monster movie, I'll buy that. But for the most part, it's shot horror. His arm goes through a dude. Like, it's an unstoppable, like, the face stuff, like, the gore in the movie, like, the intensity. I think Sarah Connor, what she has to overcome by the beginning of the movie, where she's just, like, you know, just hanging out. She got a little job. And by the end of the movie, like, when stuff's going down, like, Reese gets hurt, and she's like, on your feet, soldier, on your feet. She's lifting him up. She's carrying him, like, you know, like, through the fire, through the flames, the explosion, like, all that stuff. And then the second movie, where she's, like, gone full hardcore, hardened, ready for end of days, like, I love it so much. Sarah's, and not only that, but the rest of the franchise, like I said, and I like Genesis a lot. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, but I like what they did with the characters. The love story continues. She's a strong character in that movie as well. And she's a great character in. I didn't care for Dark Fate, but she's great in Dark Fate as well. Stanley, I'm not in the Demon Knight. I'm in Jada Pinkett Smith, Demon Knight. Yeah. Yeah, she's also in Scream too. But she, like I said, but yeah, no, I still haven't seen Demon Eye. I feel so bad. I haven't, like, the copies are kind of expensive. I have never found a DVD, and it's one of those where I have so many movies to watch that I bought that I want to get to first before I start watching stuff that I have free. You know, it's kind of, I feel guilty for buying it. I need to watch it, but no, I do want to watch Demon Knight. But Caleb, what is your number 1? And this is weird because I don't know. You said Sarah Connor, put Ripley as an honorable mention. You haven't said Laurie yet. Is it Laurie?
Laurie Strode. Here's why.
Strode. Okay.
First off, I'm biased. Halloween is my favorite horror franchise. Absolutely. So that gets marker number 1. Marker number 2. You get to pick what story arc you want to see Laurie go through. Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 2018, Halloween H2O, Halloween Kills, the Rob Zombie remakes. Like, you get options with how you want this character to develop. And that is kind of unique in horror. Like, you don't get that much. So why I can see why people don't put her at the top. I also see that it is a very, very, very common pick for her to be in the top three. But it works for me. I absolutely love. I mean, the first Halloween film is a masterpiece in my opinion. The second one is amazing. Granted, she has a lot less to do there, but she's still there. H2O. I enjoy her characterization in H2O. The opening scene of Resurrection is arguably one of the best openings in the Halloween franchise, and then it's just downhill from there. Halloween 2018 was a great return to form. Everybody knows our feelings on Kills. The Rob Zombie films, it's a very different Laurie Strode. It's a different story. It's a different person. That is a lot of options for one character. So I feel confident in making her my number one for all of those reasons. Is it cliche? Yes. Do I care? No.
The only reason why I said I put Laurie lower is because for the most part, she is a final girl by default. She's still resourceful, she's still awesome, but first movie, final girl by default. Survives based on her skills or her will to live and her, she can work with things around her. Second movie, seriously default. Third movie, H2O, same thing. She goes after him. Spoilers. She goes after him once she knows he's around. Resurrection, she's waiting. Then it's not even, really the final thing. In the reboots, I'm going to leave those alone for the most part. She is also by default. And then Halloween 18, she actually does hunt him. And then she has nothing to do in Kills. Spoiler again. But it's just... I like Laurie. I do. Like you're saying, like I said earlier, I like that you have different options to follow her, and she goes through multiple different things. But it bugs me through default. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not trying to take that away from you. I do like Laurie. I really do. I just had to really like it's funny how like some of it was like Plinko. It was like, boop, 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 boop. Oh, this is actually where you fall when how I feel about you. You're wrong. But my number one is Ripley. She is amazing in a time where you did not get final girls. She is the definitive final girl. Like, I'm sure there were movies beforehand with like the Universal monsters and stuff like that, but she stepped up. First movie, she stepped up. She's in charge. She's leading. She's not a pushover. In the second movie, all the loss of time, the pain she's had to deal with, the family, the angle, like the depth of that, like putting your life on the line for people you've never met, for the world that you've never been to, for the all that stuff, going toe to toe, going into the lion's den and not flinching. Like, she went, like, it's like playing poker, and like you don't even have necessarily a winning hand, but you're bluffing all the way to the final table and you're taking home the gold. Like, just I won't hear it. Number one is Ripley, and I do have a big love, especially for the first two movies. The first two movies, the rest of the franchise could be crap from now on. Those first two movies are god tier to me. They're like Terminator and T2. They are god tier. There's just not a whole lot of movies that hold that level of awesome from the first and second movie.
And see, that's the thing. I know that they are great movies. They just don't work as well for me for some reason. I pay a crap load of respect to them, and the characters, and the development, and the ideas, but it's not a franchise that I reach for that often. I mean, they're great. It's like our conversation that we had about how I feel about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Like, I see the greatness. I do. It just doesn't speak to me as much for whatever reason. And I think it's really weird because when I was younger and dumber, I would have said something like, "Oh, it's just stupid," and just like, let it roll off my shoulder and not discuss it any further. But what the Alien franchise did, what Star Wars did, what Lord of the Rings did for cinema as a whole is more than most of the films that I have on my lists of favorites. And that's just factual. So understanding that, being able to respect something that I may not necessarily like that much, I would like to thank my personal growth. And I would also like to say that people got to stop being so mean to each other about people's picks, man. I've seen a lot the past couple of weeks with the new Doctor Strange that came out with. There's been a lot of talks about some special releases of different films, and people have just been bashing each other over their choices of these movies. It doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We're all watching movies to have fun. I give
Caleb crap because Caleb goes with his heart, like what he enjoys, and like you do have some like defenses for that, and that's what makes this fun is like, I have somewhere like I feel stupid. I'm like this should go higher. I just can't because once again I just don't connect with it. Like you said, like you really connect, so some go high. On a couple of them, I know I'm like I'm wrong. Like I know I'm wrong. Like you don't even have to tell me I know I'm wrong. But there are some things where I'm like I this is the only one I'll ever hear. I want to hear your argument for your list. But there are some where I'm just like, I can't imagine ever flinching.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do agree. But we can also give each other crap because we know each other, because it's fun, and because it's friendly. Like, we've never told each other to go suck an egg and go put your face in an anthill. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
So, but yeah, other people have never met each other that are just like, I hate you and I hate your mom. Like, dang, man, like.
Yeah, no, it's getting gross. One guy, I saw somebody made a post about they just watched like 5 or 6 A24 films. They just watched the Jordan Peele films, and they just watched something else, and they were like, they weren't bad, I just didn't really like them. And the comments were either all, yeah, those movies are garbage, which is not what the person said, or they were all, oh, you just missed it, you're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. There were no comments like, hey, what specifically about this film, or this one, or this one. Like, there was no conversation. It was just bashing the movies or bashing the person for not liking the movies, which is just counterproductive. It doesn't make sense. Real quick, before I forget, Bloody Disgusting put out an article, and I meant to send it to you last week when I found it, that the saving grace for the Friday the 13th franchise would be a Pamela Voorhees origin story film.
So you can kind of start fresh and do your own thing from there.
Give $20 to John for pitching them that idea. I believe that he said that on this channel like 800 times. While I kind of agreed, but I thought that would never be the direction that they would go because the hockey mask sells, which I don't think that that's necessarily a better thing. I just think that whoever's in charge will see dollar signs next to a hockey mask, whereas when they hear the name Pamela, they won't get that reaction.
Well, and I totally understand that, but so like let's meet in the middle, right? Like it's always like in today's world, it's like no, I want my side, you want your side, we can't ever talk. Let's meet in the middle. Let's advertise the hockey mask, right? Let's make it a Pamela Voorhees story. Let's tell it backwards, and let's do like Jason rocking and rolling, and then let's go back and tell how things started. You know what I mean? Let's do both. You can get creative with Friday the 13th. You don't have to just make it.
Yeah.
The B-list slasher that it always was, which is great, and I love it. We have plenty of that. Let's go serious. Let's put some effort into it. Let's do some storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to be lazy. But
talking about killer
flicks.
Yes, sir. It is getting so toxic in there, man. It's everywhere. Like in the different mask communities I'm in the different collectors, figure collectors groups I'm in, the different film groups I'm in, it's all the same crap, man. You have garbage taste because you like this. This movie's trash. You're 100% right, even though that's not the point you were making. Like, it's just, I'm so exhausted. Like, it's tough because all these places are places where people are trying to go to get away from that climate and discuss the things that they like, the film, the figures, the masks, the music, the whatever. And all of a sudden somebody walks into the comments and is just rips them or whatever apart unwarranted. Yeah, she was absolutely. But I think that the company in charge of it will see it as that movie won't sell, the hockey mask will sell, and that's. I mean,
But I think you can make it work. Like, I just pitched it for 30 seconds. Like, you still put Jason in there, you tell it backwards, and then really you get like think about hang on, Caleb. If you think about like what about like 2009's Friday the 13th, right? That amazing opening. What if you had that, right? You had that whole opening, and then you reverse told it with Pamela in there. Can you imagine, like, what? And then, like, at the end of the movie, you cap off with Jason, like, walking up to another to camp or another whatever. Like, you can still do both. Like, you just have to be creative. Like, I just think for some reason it's like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, we couldn't be creative with the remake. You did the same freaking story. Like Nightmare on Elm Street with Hellraiser, you have unlimited possibilities of nightmares, hell dimensions, and the dumbest things you can do is just we'll do the same movie. Let's make a detective story for the 15th time. Like, you guys are killing me. Like that's why, like, and I want to say, like, you're talking about the toxic fandom. We watched the Fall of Camp Blood. I had a blast, dude. Like, but I watched this guy that I watch, and I won't put his name out there, specs or whatever. He's had some film school, right? He watched the movie and tore it in half. Like, he was fairly respectful, but he just kept like trashing it. Oh my God, we got to sit through another one of these, and like, oh, people that my fans that watch me want to watch this crap. Dude, you didn't pay for it. You didn't crowdfund it. You spent 52 minutes or whatever of your time to watch a movie where people put in their hard effort. People put money into this movie. Like, they're just sharing their love, and you're trashing all over it. I just don't understand. If you put money into it, like, and you were, it's like some investment, I understand you having an opinion. Like, go into it and just have fun. Turn your brain off. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a fan film
understand.
having fun. Like, that's.
I don't get it.
Yeah, no. Oddly enough, another fun topic that I wanted to talk about is I have been watching a lot of The Brutality of, so Big Will. Have you seen that YouTube channel at all? He's always been in the background and suggested videos for me, and recently I started watching them because he covers a lot of, like, darker films, exploitation films, like films that I don't necessarily want to subject myself to without knowing more about them first. And he also does a lot of, like, normal horror, like he's done like House of a Thousand Corpses or Saw or stuff like that. But he covered I can't think of the exact verbiage that's used, but they are a group of French films that were made as like a horror revolution, and all of them are absolutely brutal. High Tension is one of them, and that is nowhere near as brutal as the rest of these movies.
Okay.
He talked about, yeah, he talked about one, I think it's called Inside. Don't quote me on that. I need to go back and look. But it made me think. I'm just going to share a little bit about the movie, and then I'm going to talk about the difference real quick between the horror that I normally watch and this kind of stuff. This movie follows a female character who she witnesses her parents die at a young age, it fast forwards to her and her husband, like quick, like, 10-minute love segment. She's pregnant, husband dies in a car crash, she's all alone, and then somebody comes banging on the door and is trying to take her baby. She wakes up in the middle of the night, person's got a knife to her gut, trying to take the baby. It gets brutal, it gets violent, it gets disgusting, and it just keeps going. I think that people who are so into the base level horror films, like where we tend to spend a lot of our time concentrating, Friday the 13th, Halloween, some of the bigger names in horror, you need to calm down.
Right.
I don't think you realize how far down this rabbit hole goes. If you want that movie to be that hardcore, they're there. They're just not in theaters ever. If you want something that fits you more, it is out there. You just have to hunt. The reason that I talk poorly about Halloween Kills, I've said it and I'll say it again, is because David Gordon Green said we're going back to basics, and he literally killed that with Halloween Kills.
Right.
Completely ended that. Had he have never said that, I'd probably enjoy the film 100 times more. Absolutely.
Well, and what we talked about. Sorry, let me hit real quick Jabari's thing real quick, and then I want to get into that because so the fan film of the new Jason sucks. No, man, like so.
No, dude,
I mean, so
fun.
look, if you're a right, if you're a film student, if you're like kind of uppity, right, or if you're very like I could do this better, I could see how you would probably say it sucks, especially if you like. If you think like this should be on the same level of the rest of the franchise, it's not. It doesn't have the budget the rest of the franchise does. It can't like decapitate every single person in there, right? It can't set the lake on fire. It can't blow up the cabins. Like, you know what I mean? Like it is fan servicing other fans, enjoying, sending a love letter, and representing one of their favorite slashers. Like from like a I don't know, like quality acting, quality shots, quality all that. Like if you wanted to say the movie sucks, then okay, fine. But you have to understand what the movie is, and you have to understand what, like, if your time is so valuable that it pisses you off to enjoy somebody else's hard work of 52 minutes, that's you, man. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I was together with Caleb too. Like, to be honest too, I was with Caleb. We have a friend. We have fun with the franchise. And we understand the work that went into it, and I think that like having somebody there to watch it with and to like have fun with made it even more fun. If you're just sitting there and you're just like and you're already in a bad mood, I could see how you would think it sucks. I understand. Like if you want to say it, I think I enjoyed it, and especially like because I got to watch with Caleb, and we're bantering, we're enjoying what we're seeing. I just don't understand bashing the piss out of it.
We spent 10 minutes talking about the Ninja Turtles.
We did, but real quick, so I talked about this earlier, and like this is the thing where it's like you're saying about Halloween Kills, and you're like they were going back to basics, and then they jumped the shark, and you're like, what the, like, I was so on board, I was so invested, I was loving like not perfect, but we were loving where it was going, and then you jumped the shark and ripped everything from us that we were hoping this would be. And now, like, I've had the thing where, like, with Halloween 4 and 5 and some of the others, right? Like, when you first watch it, you're like, God dang, this is a drop in quality. It just is. Like, things are jarring. They're doing some things with the character I don't like. But over time, you see some of the good things that outweighs the bad. You see the charm, whatever. And so you like it for its own charm. I think that's what's happening a little bit to Kills with me. Like, it's a pill that I've swallowed, and I'm trying to enjoy the rest of the movie. But that's not something people are like, well, you went in with high expectations. What do you expect? This is a loved franchise with plenty of money, with great actors, cinematography, music by John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter. I should not have to lower my standards, my expectations for one of the best horror franchises of all time. A masterpiece. That first movie, you could argue, is not. I'm going to say it's a masterpiece. Stop telling me to lower my expectations. Stop making crappy movies. Stop making stupid decisions. Like when somebody that doesn't have film school can tell you where you up, stop.
And
Like,
see, this was the point that I was trying to make is the critique that I'm making of that film. I'm not saying that people suck for enjoying it. I'm not saying
right.
that my opinion is more valid than somebody's who's different. And I think that's got to stop. It's got to stop because I'm going to buy it eventually. It's going to be on my shelf. And honestly, when I had Peacock, I watched it 6, 7, 8 times because it's the latest Halloween movie. It's going to grow on me. Like you said, I mean, uh, when I first saw Halloween 5, I had no desire to ever see it again. Now it's like a yearly staple. It just is. Around the
Yeah.
Halloween time, I can't wait to pop in Halloween 5 now. Just is.
Right.
It is.
Like I don't
Um,
like yeah, it doesn't matter. Like Halloween 5 is trash. But you can find fun things. You can like the gothic weird French director, like the tones, the weird vibes that it has. And you can like Don Shanks is a decent Myers. Like you can
yeah,
like The Mask for how creepy it is. Even as a kid I was like that is creepier than anything else I've seen so far.
yeah.
Loomis has some good moments, but overall the movie's trash, right? Like it jars
Loomis
the
is
character.
terrifying.
Right. It jars the character. The opening's stupid. Like it's just, but you can still have fun with it. But
Yeah.
don't tell me to lower my expectations, especially when you're jumping off the original movie. You're telling me like back to basics. We're going back to that first movie. Like I should not have to lower my expectations. Like if you
Yeah.
change tones, like Toby Hooper's Part 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, and I know that the tone has changed and that I should change my expectations, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
when you tell me certain things and you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired. I'm so sick and tired of people jumping their high horses and telling me to lower my expectations. I
Especially
don't like
when
it.
I, in this order of events, you have Halloween Resurrection, then you have the reboot, and then you have its sequel, and then finally they announce Halloween 3D. That gets canceled, thankfully. And they're like, well, John Carpenter might actually be attached. And then we're all like, huh, okay, let's see where this goes. And then you find out David Gordon Green's attached. That's weird. And then you're like, oh, Blumhouse is attached. And you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we can work with it. And then it comes out, we're going back to the basics. And they give you Halloween 2018, which was back to those basics. And technically, the way that movie ends, it could have ended there. That could have been it. But they said they had enough for 2, 3 more films. And they wanted to end it in a place where it could do that. Okay, cool. And then you bring out Halloween Kills, and it just completely does a middle of the road, which is what we've already done. The only difference is we can do a lot more gore now, and we're doing it with Jamie Lee Curtis this time. That's really
Kinda.
it.
Kinda.
Kind of. I have a feeling the next
I mean,
movie, because yet again they did that trailer thing where they put out the trailer and people are posting what was in the trailer, and it's absolutely unbelievable. And I think Halloween Ends is going to disappoint me as well. Oh, and John Carpenter said, "Don't believe for a second that this is the end."
right, and it never will be, dude. I mean, you
Yeah.
could kill the franchise. Look at Hellraiser. You could kill the franchise, and they're still going to keep making money or making movies because it makes money.
Well, yes.
Sorry, I want to say also honorable mention real fast of Final Gals is the gal from Hush. She is phenomenal. Great
Yeah.
Final Gal in Hush. If you haven't seen Hush, it was on Netflix. David Gordon Green directed. Great Final Gal. A very no. Was it? It wasn't David Gordon Green, was it? No. Was it David Gordon Green?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It's been a minute.
Dang, I might be wrong on that. Actually, I might be wrong on that. Anyway, I think I'm wrong. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I want them to. I want them to completely reboot Halloween, like completely reboot it.
Oh,
Everything other than Michael Myers and Loomis reboot.
that's where we were. John Carpenter. Don't think for a second. It's the end. So with a comment like that, with Halloween Ends coming out, this should be the end of this story arc. It should be. But that statement is making me question that. It's making me think that they might pull an epic and do 2 Halloween Ends or something like that. And I don't want that. I don't.
I don't either. I want this thing to end, and I don't have any faith in it. I feel bad for saying that, but for me, like we were on a good path, then all of a sudden we jumped the shark, and now I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna jump the shark, let's jump the shark even harder. Like you jump the shark in 4, 5, and then you literally put a rocket in the back end of the shark and shot it off a ramp in 6. Let's burn it down. Let's do the same thing. Let's get an Acme rocket, shove it in the back of the shark, and fire it off a ramp on this one. Might as well.
Yeah.
Like, because anything else, if you try to recorrect and go back towards the 18, it's gonna piss me off even more.
So, on the things that are either going to tank or be great, sorry to switch gears, but I saw something that Rotten Tomatoes is calling Black Phone like one of the best horror movies ever made. And Ethan Hawke said it is a sibling film to Sinister in a way. So the trailer doesn't look promising at all. I know a lot of people say it does, and it does look scary. To me, it doesn't look that like scary necessarily. It looks like it's mixing too many elements in one film.
It does look like it's trying hard.
Yeah, it looks like we got a serial killer. We got some supernatural stuff going on. It feels like it's taking too much for one film. But very rarely, very, very rarely, does Rotten Tomatoes give a horror film that high of a score, which makes me think it might actually be worth investing the time to go see it in theaters. Which I totally was not planning on those words coming out of my mouth ever for this film. Like, I was like, if I have the time, sure I will. But now I'm like, I might need to make the time. Because it's rare.
Yeah. I still haven't seen my kid got sick over the weekend, and I had to we were gonna go to the lake and all that, and it all got canceled. It sucked, but so yeah, there goes my vacation. But my brother and I were gonna probably go see Top Gun, and that didn't happen. I wanted to see Doctor Strange. That didn't happen. I just cannot make the time at the moment. Babysitters being expensive and everything else, but I would like to see the Black Phone. Caleb, real quick before I forget to ask you, have you been watching the new season of Stranger Things?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have read just a smidgen, just because when I saw that character design, it really made me think Wishmaster Pumpkinhead Freddy Krueger. So that piqued my interest like no other. I am trying to figure out time to sit down and watch it, but I also read that like every episode is over an hour long.
It's very long.
That's true, but I don't. Man, like I said, the first Cabin Fever, I'm on day 3 of trying to watch it, 3 or 4, maybe, and I still got like 26 minutes left. That movie's only an hour and a half long. Like that's not a lot.
Yeah.
So
I'm interested when you see it because I understand the elements that they're going for. To me, it kind of he feels like the main bad guy. The design it feels like not Barbosa. God dang it! Pirates of the Caribbean too. Davy Jones, like with the squid stuff because it moves a lot. So that's the vibe I get with some of the other stuff. But I like the nod. They have a lot of tip of the hat to like previous horror movies. Those are inspirations. They show homage and things like that. I I need to. I'm in like the fourth episode. It's good. It just. I don't. I don't. The villain's very different, and it doesn't feel right to the universe that's currently been established. When you watch it, let me know if maybe I'm just being too critical. But the characters and the chemistry and everything else like that are great. I mean, you know, the actors are fantastic. God dang, did they age? But yeah, let me know when you see it what you think, because you've seen the third season. I like the third season. It worked. I thought people should have died more. Like they were in so much danger all the time, and then they just like shake it off. But in this one, I'm really interested to see what you think, because so far it's been kind of weak. Like the presence is there, but it feels weak. Doesn't feel normal to the rest of the franchise. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what you think. I'm going to keep it spoiler free, but I'm interested. I really wish you were up to date, because I really want to pick your brain on that. It's spoiler free ish, but see if maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. Brittany can't put a good finger on it either. So a lot of people are loving it, which is great. I'm glad people are enjoying it, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think 3 was great. I think maybe one more season, but I just don't see it needing to go past anymore. Like it's really starting to lose some of the magic, especially as they get older. I don't know.
Personally, I think the first season was absolutely the best. Season 2 was fun. Season 3, I kind of felt the threats were weaker and weaker throughout the season to me for some reason. Like, it was like, oh, big threat. Just kidding. Hold on. We're going to move for a second. Hold on, big threat. No, nothing happens. Oh, nothing happens. And then, now that we have all collectively seen Season 3 of Stranger Things and the Fear Street trilogy, anybody else think one particular scene from both looks the exact same at all? The mall.
Which one? I guess. Which one? I mean, generic.
The end scene from the end of Season 3 of Stranger Things looks like the opening and ending of the Fear Street trilogy. The mall scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, right.
Felt the exact same. Like when I was watching Fear Street, I was like, hold on a minute.
Yeah. So I think that's probably it for tonight. I have been I shot a bit of a prequel video of the beginning part. I'm taking and I talked about this before, but I'm finally getting around to it. I'm taking a 93 Megazord. This is not it. But I removed all the decals, and I painted everything from the ground up, like literally disassembled everything. And I'm repainting it, and I'm telling you, I've had to sand down and repaint more than once. It's pissing me off. But it is starting to look good. We're getting close to the end where I can put the stickers on it, and I'm very excited. I will probably never do this again because it was terrible. But yeah, I've been I'm on like week and a half of like constantly touching this freaking thing.
Man, I got my first few pieces for my custom Jason costume. I still have not finished Leatherface, which is really sad because I'm looking up at that mask and that makes me want to watch Texas Chainsaw 2022 again. Really bad. I love that movie so much.
Another movie, love it or hate it.
I don't know. I could go for days on, and it's weird because it pulls the exact same thing that Halloween Kills does, but it was on a different set of promises. There were no promises for it. There was no expectation for it. Whereas Kills, there was, and I don't know. Yeah.
Well, the thing is too is like, look, I mean, like once again, this is it, and I'll finish it here. But like the expectations are completely different. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise has been jacked around all over the place. There's like hardly any returning anything to this new movie. Like it went to Netflix. The director was fired in like the first 2 weeks of filming. Like there's just the budget was jacked around with. Like this thing had like we should have low expectations for this movie because it felt like kind of a bit of a cash grab that we'd have a little fun with, but it will never catch. The first movie is such an anomaly for so many reasons. But Halloween, like you were talking about, like you went back to basics. You got John Carpenter back on. You got Jamie Lee Curtis. Like there's so much legacy coming back to do it right. Like you got John Carpenter excited, and then in my opinion, for the most part, you slam dunk 2018, and then you hype up Kills. Granted, some of it's not its fault. Like there's script leaks because of COVID, because it got pushed back. There's all these issues. But like to the core, like what I always talk about, like I have problems when you jack up characters permanently, when they do stuff they shouldn't do, or like the road they're on, you just completely pull the rug out from under them. It's the same thing when you jack up story, when you jack up characters, it pisses me off. So yeah, I mean there's a different level of expectations. Like yeah, I mean legacy, all that stuff. Then we have a great movie to jump off of. You're going back to the original, all this stuff. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's like, even Fede Alvarez said that this could be a sequel to other movies. It could be. He said that. He did not say that this has to be a direct sequel to the first movie.
Yeah, and I want to see a sequel to it because I know what my expectations are now. And with him walking back at the end, like, I want to see that movie. I want to see what happens from here. I want to know. Like, I want the sister to come back and hunt him. I want it. I doubt it's going to happen. Then again, it was the most viewed horror release on Netflix ever. So
it's like for 2 weeks straight, it was top tier. Yeah.
Yeah. Even
I don't know.
I don't know.
If you don't hear anything for another 6 to 8 months, I'm saying it's dead in the water. I would say, well, I'm sorry. Let me say, if you don't hear anything a couple months after Kills, if Kills destroys the box office and does really well, which it'll do well, but it won't do great. I mean, the other horror franchises are watching Halloween to see what it does. Right, it's the same thing with like It. It is now it has been in a while. It's been in production for the miniseries. It's been in the air for a while. But yeah, if you start to see a decline, you'll see the decline. There's a lot riding on Halloween unfairly, but still.
It's also weird that Hellraiser's getting two things. It's getting a movie and a series. Like,
right,
they're pulling a Child's Play with that, which is. You know, that's a little bit of a risk, but I'm interested. I'm going to watch it.
It's the same. I think Child's Play got greenlit for season 2, but it also is having a rough start, too. It went to VOD. It had a reboot that didn't do well enough yet to get a sequel. Probably won't get a sequel. The series is good enough for a one-time watch, but I haven't had a whole lot of urge to rewatch it again. No. I own it, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think that you're going to see in the next year and a half to 2 years is big for horror.
Yeah. I would
especially for franchise horror.
I would say if I had to watch a big name like TV show franchise over again, it'd be the Ash vs. Evil Dead. God, it was so good.
I just finished it. Yeah.
What'd you think? Like, I know it was kind of rushed in the end, but like
I really like season 3. I think it could have ended at season 2. I like season. I'm just saying that the season 2 has a great ending. Season 3 is a lot of fun. Season 3 might be more fun than season 2. Should have probably ended at a certain point. Yeah, it's great from start to finish, though. I really did like it.
The reason it didn't is that world that they were setting up, they had stuff for like 2 seasons in that. And then it got canned on Stars for whatever reason, which I know money wasn't it. It was killing. It was the most streamed on Netflix when it was released there. It was the most streamed on the Stars app. It was, so I don't know, but yeah, they had about two more seasons worth of material, and they were like, we got to call it, and it's like, well, this is what we have. How do we cram it down and end it here?
I just don't understand, like, in today's world, why don't we do, like, if these actors are aging and they can't do it anymore, Robert Englund, yeah, Bruce Campbell, I get it, you can't do it anymore, but you can still voice. Like, why can't we get a, either somebody to stand in for them and finish it, or just do a storyboard kind of thing and finish the story? Freddy vs. Jason Part 2, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. Just do a CGI, do a computer animated, do a drawing animation.
I believe that the storyboards and scripts were released, but Stars themselves canceled the show. So
Right,
not like
but
the Stars, but
you,
Stars Network canceled the show.
but I bet Bruce Campbell doing some voice acting himself, like, you could just give me a like a Sin City kind of feel to it or something like that. You know what I mean? Like simplistic. Just give me like a storyboard, comic-esque. Give me like 2-3 episodes to just, if you're never going to be able to get to it, if you're aging and you can't go back to it, if you don't want to sit in the makeup chair, just shoot a little hour and a half thing, or do a like I said, CGI, do a cartoon. Like, I would love to just hear them and watch what would have happened and use my brain to fill in the gaps. I don't know. It's just a little frustrating.
It is.
Like, you left that on the table. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, and finishing up Ash's story. Ash's story needs to be finished. That's why I'm like, why did you? I don't know. I guess I get why you keep it going, but I don't know. It's so frustrating. I don't know.
I really am. I need to buy season 3. I've got 1 and 2. I'm just really happy that we got that much more. Like,
right.
I'm really happy to have that. Because before I always I liked Evil Dead. I had fun with it. My favorite of the Evil Dead franchise is the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show. It capitalizes on Ash's character. It capitalizes on the goofy world that we would be in from the first 2 films, and the third a little bit, but it worked. Now the remake is the harshest remake I think I've seen to date. I was actually talking to a coworker about the Evil Dead remake today. I think he's seen the originals and he loves Army of Darkness, but he hasn't seen the remake. And I was like, it's a whole different kind of movie. It's
watch the unrated if you had the option. The Blu-ray of the unrated went on sale for like $13, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. I don't know why I was being stingy.
I don't think this is. No, it's $3. But I got this for $3.99 at Half Price Books, new.
Yeah. No, it's still a great movie either way, but I would just say if you give it the chance, watch it unrated. Go full tilt on it, but yeah, fantastic. But no, anyway, I better end it here, man. Had a lot of fun tonight. Make sure if you're watching this in the future, we want to see your top 10. Obviously, this should be coming out. I have not posted I feel bad. I have not posted the top 10 final guys, but this will come out after that. If you watched with us tonight, we really appreciate it. If you watch in the future, make sure and do all the YouTube stuff. We would really appreciate that. Yeah. We will be back soon with more topics or reviews or whatever we decide to do when we actually get to it, probably the day before. Stay tuned. Check us out on Facebook. Till next time, we're out of here.
Peace.